You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Well, good morning, good morning.
There it is.
Talk the whole night through. Good morning to you. Yes. All right, there it is.
Yes.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Zarbaugh. This is Jeff Forrester.
There are untold millions that are thrilled today because you sang to them.
People will comment with their letter and their email.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, listen, good morning. We are the Bible Guys, and we want to welcome you to another episode of this exciting adventure that we're in today.
Man, that was so good. I mean, I feel like we peaked. Literally 40 seconds into the podcast today, we peaked.
That's pretty sad, though.
Well, hey, so the segment today is who's most likely.
Okay, which I like.
You like this one, don't you?
I like that. Yeah,
you like this one?
It's fun.
All right. Well, then, do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Number one, who's most likely to be a favorite sibling, me or you?
Oh, me, no doubt.
Oh, I say me.
That's no doubt. Yeah, but I'm the oldest.
Oh,
so I win.
Yeah.
Yeah. The oldest son is always the favorite son.
Wait a minute. The youngest son is
By
the one who's
far.
The youngest son is the one who's babied.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah,
it's because he's the most fragile.
I say me.
No, there is no. We'll have to fight over this one.
Okay.
Yeah, right. There is no doubt. I have a T-shirt that says I'm mom's favorite.
I have a coffee mug that says that I'm the best.
So my T-shirt's bigger than your coffee mug.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it is true.
Yeah. So there you go.
Can't argue with that. What stunning logic! What stunning,
overwhelming debate here.
Brilliant. I'm just amazed.
Yeah. So when I call my mom, every time, my mom will be like, she always answers the phone. She can see, she has caller ID, but she always goes, "Hello," right? Then she always goes, and I go, "Hey, it's your favorite son," and she go, "Which one is it?"
When I sign my cards, I put AKA number 5, and then I say your favorite.
Oh.
Yep.
I think all boys are mama's favorite.
I think so too.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, number 2. Go ahead.
Who's most likely to go to space, Chris?
Ooh. Oh, that's to be honest, I think I might put you there. Just because your desire for what's the word I'm looking for?
Getting the gospel everywhere.
I want to say adventure, but I want to say like dumb adventure.
Dumb adventure.
like I want to say like risky.
Risky
what's
stuff.
The word I'm looking for? It's like it's senseless. It's unnecessary.
Wow.
Right? Mm-hmm. Now, wait a minute. Okay. I'm not saying you always do that. Yeah. I'm just saying you're
appetite for it.
I'm saying you're more likely to do something like that. Like, hey, let's go look at crocodiles on
you wouldn't go to space?
Costa Rica adventure. I think I might, but I think you're more...
I would definitely go.
Yeah, I think
if it didn't cost like $150,000 to go or whatever it is, or millions of dollars to go, I would go. I would go every week.
I think I do have that adventure in me, right? Mm-hmm. So I've done adventurous things.
Yeah.
There's no question. Mm-hmm. I've done adventurous things. But I do have a pretty paralyzing fear of both space and deep sea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I would do both.
Yeah, deep sea really, truly paralyzes me. I actually do not think I would do deep sea.
Like that submarine that just collapsed, imploded?
Well, I mean, if I was on like
It's a pretty quick way to go.
Yeah, I think I might go on a submarine if it was like the Navy.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like an actual, military grade submarine.
Right.
But I wouldn't go in a millionaire's, tubing.
Yeah. Hey, I made this in my backyard.
Right.
Kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Who's most likely to get stuck up a mountain and have to be called to be rescued? I have to call to be rescued.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't think you'd ever have to be called to be rescued.
Yeah. You know what? I don't do well in the mountains. Okay. I love them, but I run out of gas quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd have to say you then.
I quit one time going up a mountain.
You told me this.
Up a mountain. I just out of gas. And I was with Chad, and he ran up ahead of me. We were going up to this Buddhist temple. It was like 1,500-year-old Buddhist temple. We're about, I can't remember, it was 11 or 12,000 feet up. And we'd only been there in that area. I hadn't acclimated. If I acclimate, like the third day, I'm really good. But that first day, I usually have a headache because it's thin. And then the next day, my headache, I can make that go away because I'll always travel with some ibuprofen or something. So the headache could go away. But then I'm just breathless for like a day.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, how do these people live here? And then the third or fourth day, then I start getting acclimated. I'm fine. And so we were going up this mountain, and I'd only been there about 12 hours or something.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I don't care. You just go and tell me. Bring me a picture.
Right.
Yeah. So probably me.
And I honestly, I don't have a desire to climb mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I told you about that one time that we were going up the mountain in Nepal, in the Himalayas, on a one-track road, and we got passed by a bus. So they were like scraping on the one side of the mountain, and we were hanging off the other side of the mountain.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
That is crazy.
Yep.
All right, number 4. Who's most likely to have a collection of unusual items? I don't know. I think I'd maybe lean toward me.
Is that you? What unusual items do you collect?
I don't have any, but it says more likely.
I have a collection of unusual items in my office. So I have that little table.
Yeah.
I have fossils, and I have an alligator head, and I have
yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah,
right.
so you win.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I used to collect all sorts of crazy things.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I had collection upon collection.
Bottle caps and comic books and baseball cards.
No, those are normal things.
Those are normal things?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that was called, by the way, in the old days, those odd collections were called a cabinet of curiosities. And it was before museums began. The very wealthy would travel around the world. They'd find all these amazing things. They'd bring them home and then charge people to come in and see them. And so they would have... and then it turned into, from there, as the scientific method began being developed, people began to collect those cabinets of curiosities in order to be able to do research on rocks and fossils. That was when dinosaurs and fossils began to be discovered again, and gems and all those things, and insect collections and moth collections and all that kind of stuff. It was called the Cabinet of Curiosities, and it was a huge collection of Cabinet of Curiosities that became the British Museum of Natural History, and then that's where all those natural history museums came from. There you go.
I did not know that.
Everybody's like, yawn. But yeah, Cabinet of Curiosities. I have a book in my office called Cabinet of Curiosities, so that's what
I figured as much.
Who's most likely to become a professional video game streamer?
Well, that'd be definitely you.
That's me. Yeah.
Hey, so
I love video games.
These were all you.
Most of them, all but one.
No. Favorite sibling, you claim that one.
Me, yeah.
Space, you claim that one.
Wow.
Mountain to be rescued, that's you. Unusual items collection, you. Professional game streamer, you.
Yeah. Well, we didn't need to name this Who's Most Likely. We could just could have called it Jeff's Amazing.
Jeff's Amazing.
This is the Jeff's Amazing segment.
Hey, we're going to play a game, and it's called Jeff's Amazing. That's so funny.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to squeeze myself in there, but you talked me out of every single one of them.
Yeah. Get out. Get out.
Yeah. Stop stepping on my
Don't need that kind of negativity in here.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
hey, speaking of amazing,
Yes.
we are transitioning into the book of Micah, which is an amazing book of the Bible, just like the other books of the Bible.
Or an amazing fact is that Isaiah and Micah were probably friends.
Huh.
They were contemporaries. They both served in Israel at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that help? Is that amazing?
I'm not sure.
That
sure.
two authors in the Bible were writing at the same time?
Well, that is actually amazing when you consider that, we had over 40 authors that lived over 1,500 years, and most of them didn't even know each other.
Well, the authors didn't live over 1,500 years. Those 40 authors were spread over
Is that the way I made it
1,500 years. Yeah, because that would be amazing.
No, I meant
40 people?
The span of 1,500
lived
years.
over, lived across
yes,
time span of
Yes.
1,500 years. Yes. Okay, so we are reading now. Micah is a contemporary of Isaiah, and a lot of his writings and interaction were with Judah, but he did have some things to say to Israel as well. So we're going to just jump in and look at this Micah chapter 1. We're reading the whole chapter, aren't we? Yeah.
Yep.
It says, the Lord gave this message to Micah of Moresheth during the years when Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah were kings of Judah. The visions he saw concerned both Samaria and Jerusalem. And here's the vision. Attention, let all the people of the world listen. Let the earth and everything in it hear. The sovereign Lord is making accusations against you. The Lord speaks from his holy temple. Look, the Lord is coming. He leaves his throne in heaven and tramples the heights of the earth. The mountains melt beneath his feet and flow into the valleys, like wax in a fire, like water pouring down a hill. And why is this happening? Because of the rebellion of Israel. Yes, the sins of the whole nation. Who is to blame for Israel's rebellion? Samaria, its capital city. Where is the center of idolatry in Judah? In Jerusalem, its capital. So I, the Lord, will make the city of Samaria a heap of ruins. Her streets will be plowed up for planting vineyards. I will roll the stones of her walls into the valley below, exposing her foundations. All her carved images will be smashed. All her sacred treasures will be burned. These things were bought with the money earned by her prostitution, and they will now be carried away to pay prostitutes elsewhere. Therefore, I will mourn and lament. I will walk around barefoot and naked. I will howl like a jackal and moan like an owl, for my people's wound is too deep to heal. It has reached to Judah, even to the gates of Jerusalem. Don't let our enemies in Gath, or don't tell our enemies in Gath. Don't weep at all. You people in Beth-Leafra, is that how you say that? Beth-Leafra?
Sure.
Sounds good to me. Roll in the dust to show your despair. You people in Shaphir, go as captives into exile, naked and ashamed. The people of Zaanan dare not come outside their walls. The people of Beth Ezel mourn, for their house has no support. The people of Maroth anxiously wait for relief, but only bitterness awaits them as the Lord's judgment reaches even the gates of Jerusalem. Harness your chariot horses and flee, you people of Lachish. You were the first city in Judah to follow Israel in her rebellion, and you led Jerusalem into sin. Send farewell gifts to Moresheth Gath. There is no hope of saving it. The town of Akzib has deceived the kings of Israel. O people of Mareshah, I will bring a conqueror to capture your town, and the leaders of Israel will go to Adullam. O people of Judah, shave your heads in sorrow, for the children you love will be snatched away. Make yourselves as bald as a vulture, for your little ones will be exiled to distant lands. Well, good morning. Good morning.
No doubt. Wow.
There you go. That was a rough one.
Just a minute ago, you said there's plenty of bad news with the prophets.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this
that was in between
tapings. Yeah. Yeah, you said that, and that is definitely understood, isn't it? So wow, he really speaks. God speaks against rebellion and idolatry in the city capitals. So it's in Judah and in Samaria.
Right.
And he says he will make Samaria a heap of ruins. Her streets will be plowed up for planting vineyards. So I wonder when that would take place. Because, oftentimes when there's a prediction that comes upon a region or a temple or a city or, something like that, oftentimes it takes decades, right?
Yeah.
For it to be fulfilled.
Yes.
And so I wonder when this did take place.
This would have been in that same 740. What was that we had said about Isaiah? 740 BC.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's about the same time. Yeah. So Isaiah is warning the people, but Micah comes in with a really blunt message, and he's giving it to both sides. So what you have is it says that he wrote this during that he gave messages to the kings Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. Both Jotham, is it Jotham or Jotham? I don't know. And Hezekiah tried to be good kings. As a matter of fact, Hezekiah began this kind of slow road back to God as a part of Micah's speeches. Micah coming in and preaching and saying, you're heading in the wrong direction and judgment is coming. Hezekiah was a king in Judah, and even though northern Israel did not come back to God, Hezekiah tried. He tried to come back to God. He succeeded and failed, but he was trying to lead the people back. But in between, Ahaz was so wicked. Remember how horrible Ahab was in northern Israel? Yeah. Ahaz was on a multiple of 5 or 10 compared to Ahab. He got to the point where he nailed the doors of the temple shut. Right? So not only did he set up fake gods for everybody else, he forbade the people of Israel to have any access to God's temple at all. right? So you could not worship God. Whereas Ahab never banned the people of northern Israel, Samaria, from worshiping God. He just set up all the other gods too. And Ahaz banned the people. He nailed the doors shut of the temple, right? And so it was such an evil time. And so Micah is coming in and he's warning the people that when you choose to live a life apart from God, really, there's going to be consequences. As you say. So he names all these cities. I had a hard time reading a lot of the names of those cities. The people reading it would have known, but basically just choose 15 of your own cities that you know about. It'd be like him saying, hey, L.A., you've been wandering from me and earthquakes are coming. Hey, New York, right? That's what he's doing. Hey, Houston. Right. Hey, Nashville, right? Hey, Chicago. That's what he's doing, is he's going around and he's just reminding them all these major places. You're not safe anywhere in Israel or anywhere in Judah because you are consciously choosing to walk away from God.
Notice you didn't say Detroit in there.
No, you and I minister in Detroit. Things are going pretty good right now.
There you go. That's so funny. That's so great.
No, that's not true.
Well, I mean,
things are going well.
There's some good things.
Things are going, but not because we're ministering in the suburbs of Detroit.
Right, exactly. So Micah served as a prophet to Judah from 742 BC to 687 BC, right? Yeah. So that would have been, what, like 60 years almost? 50-something years?
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And it says, the climate of the times was King Ahaz set up pagan idols in the temple and finally nailed the temples of the door shut. For different nations harassed Judah. When Hezekiah became king, the nation began a slow road to recovery and economic strength. Hezekiah probably heeded much of Micah's advice.
Right.
That's awesome. That you already pointed that out, but that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And so, God sends the prophets and, warns the people. And then, the people have a choice, and the leaders and the rulers. I think that a lot of times we can hear God's promises and his word, and somehow we don't think that they're for us. We think that maybe they're blanket statements that are either ancient and irrelevant, or they're blanket statements that maybe, are for the general populace or population. But we don't think they're necessarily for us, and we don't have to adjust our ways. Have you ever met somebody who says, we just kind of covered this a couple weeks ago and on the sermons in the series rather that we just did, but it's like, why should I have to change? Yeah. Why should I have to sacrifice and change? Why should I be the one that, that God says this and all of a sudden I'm doing it when everybody around me cheats on their taxes? Everybody around me doesn't do these things. Everybody around me gets away with these things. Why should I be the one to have to do that?
Right.
And it's because, hey, when God asks us to do things, it's because he wants blessing for our lives. He wants our lives to go in the right direction, not the wrong one. And so even back then, imagine how tempting it would have been for kings. He says, oh, you're heading in the wrong direction. He's like, yeah, but I have riches and fame and glory for myself. Right. And I have all sorts of things. So in order to turn from what they were turning from to go God's way, I think that maybe we are a little harsh on the kings sometimes.
Well, they were doing what's politically expedient. Probably, very likely, the people wanted these gods, right? Because the people usually would put pressure on the kings. This is why Solomon allowed his wives to build little temples throughout the country, right? This is why it was the people wanted it. Jezebel gave the people in Samaria all these groves and these places to worship. A lot of times what the people want, and the kings just want power and wealth. That's what they want. And so they give the people what they think they want in order to be able to get. And so a lot of times I think, and then they become wicked themselves because they're not following God. So then it's just go through the motions, do the thing, whatever the people want. As long as I can keep my kingdom, I'm fine. And so this is why the judgment of God comes on all of the people, not just on the king. Right? This is why he names all the cities, there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. And so early in Micah's ministry, judgment does come on Samaria, northern Israel. And then later in Micah's ministry, Sennacherib invades Jerusalem, and that was probably what he was talking about for Jerusalem as well. Hezekiah held it off for quite some time, but that judgment still came. And the reason, you're talking about that, why should I change?
Yeah.
It's because God's not measuring me by anybody else.
Right.
He's only measuring me by his holiness. And either I am moving towards him or away from him.
Yeah.
And people whose hearts are leaning towards God, you always find him blessing them. You never see him smacking them down. Even Hezekiah, who kind of flip-flops a little bit in his, in serving God, even as his heart was moving towards God, God extends his life. God does some pretty amazing things for him while he's heading to God. So the direction, the trajectory of your life, not the actual moments, but the trajectory of your life, either you're running towards him, and if so, you always find grace, right? God rejects the proud. He opposes the proud. He opposes those who are going to go their own way. But the Bible says he gives grace to the humble.
Yeah.
And so as we're humbling ourselves and moving towards God, he'll bless us. And this is their option. They always know this. And then there's a note in here that references this for the one in verse 5, but it just highlights the idea that there's two big sins that Micah was identifying for both Samaria, northern Israel, and Judah. And that was they'd begun perverting worship, especially during Ahaz's time in Judah. They perverted worship, and then they also oppressed the poor, right? And those two things. So love God, love people.
Yeah.
Jesus said those are the two great commandments. You want a summarization of all of the law and all of the prophets. Remember, Micah is one of the prophets.
Right.
Jesus said the sum of what God expects is love God and love people.
Right.
And throughout the book of Micah, it's you've perverted worship and you're abusing others, right?
Yeah.
It's injustice, and those are the two things God says, fine, that's enough, right?
I just started watching the series David. Have you heard about this?
No.
So, they're creating these series, and this one's covering obviously King David of the Old Testament, and it's some of the same people who did The Chosen.
Oh, okay.
And which I love The Chosen. I think it's great as long as you don't get confused about what's really in the Bible and not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So The Chosen, by the way, is called The Chosen because it's the people that God chose, right? Mm-hmm. And it's those who are chosen by God. And when it's silent about something, The Chosen will say, "Well, I wonder what it was like for the woman who got healed," And so then they sort of create a backstory, and they add details and things, and so it's like, oh, okay. So what they're doing is they're creating like real life and emotion and significance.
They're taking the facts we know about historically in their culture and saying, hey, it might have been like this for that person.
Yeah. And so when you watch The Chosen, you just have to understand that don't take everything as absolute gospel. It's what it could have been like, and it's based on all the facts.
It's kind of a historical fiction.
Yeah. Historical fiction, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what about David?
So David did something that I couldn't get over. Now, the reason why I thought about this, and the reason why I'm even bringing it up, is because it starts with Saul, and it starts with Saul rebelling, and he wants to take the own glory for himself. Mm-hmm. So it's exactly this topic, right? Uh-huh. And Samuel comes along and says, I told you when you defeated the Amalekites, I told you not to take anything, and then Saul's like, yeah, but. And he starts to justify all these different things, right? And he gets caught up in his own glory as opposed to God's glory. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's literally exactly this exact topic. But you know what I didn't like is The Chosen never stepped on the toes of the facts. Like if it was factual, then it stayed factual.
Okay, right.
And then they sort of added the silent parts. Right. Whereas they depicted Daniel defeating the lion. Remember when I'm gonna defeat Goliath. And
David defeating Goliath.
Excuse me, yeah.
Not Daniel and the lion.
Yeah, not Daniel. But he says, remember when he says, hey, when a lion came, I defeated it. When a bear came, I defeated it. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And in that story, he says, the lion came to eat the sheep, and I defeated it. Well, in the David version, he hunts the lion down and chases him down to his lair. Yeah. And then the lion has this history with the village, and David goes out of his way. And then during his battle with Goliath, Goliath throws a spear and nails David in the side, and David's on the ground bleeding, and then he gets the stone at the last second. And I'm like, bro, this did not happen this way. I'm like, I appreciate movies very much so,
Right.
but The Chosen didn't add anything, right? If it was fact, it was fact in The Chosen.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I was angry. But anyway, what I was really appreciating though is I was appreciating them depicting Saul as a king and how difficult it must have been to hear the ramblings of an old man named Samuel who says, don't take the spoils, leave everything. And all of a sudden, he's confronted with, taking the wealth of the Amalekites and giving it to the nation. And it's like, what a temptation that probably must have been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think.
Well, God doesn't say it's going to be easy.
Right.
God just says obey, because He knows better.
Right. And I think that we sometimes, can look at the children of Israel or the nation of Israel or the rulers of Israel and just say, man, they were just idiots. Like, they're just so dumb. Why not just follow God? But I don't think we could appreciate how difficult it probably must have been.
It'd be very difficult.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry for that rambling. That is our time.
That was good.
And we will see you hopefully next time on the Bible Guys.